The truth hurts, and it doesn't change according to our ability to stomach it. The reality is this: the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus are on their redesign year, while the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max are on their S year. But with that being said, the Pro models this year feel the most incomplete. Camera control. Now, in theory, camera control is actually pretty cool, but unfortunately, in its current state, it's not. It's extremely rough around the edges, and I'm hoping that with some software tweaks and feature updates, camera control can be a useful feature. But until then, it's rough. And even the one feature that could save camera control for me isn't available until later this year, and that feature is the ability to light press and lock your focus and exposure. Kind of just like a camera, a real camera that you use. Just give me that in a functional way, and I might be content. I might be. But later this year, you see, that's it. The iPhone 16, 16 Plus, 16 Pro, and 16 Pro Max are all incomplete until not only later this year, but actually early 2025, as that's when the Apple Intelligence release schedule is set out currently to be, But just hold that thought, because we're going to circle back here in a bit. I want to bring reality to the fact that the iPhone 16, 16 Plus, 16 Pro, and even the 16 Pro Max are some of the best and most well-designed iPhones to date. And any iPhone user from an iPhone 13 series or older upgrading to the iPhone 16, 16 Plus, Pro, or Pro Max, you're definitely going to feel an upgrade and appreciate these designs. Now, without further ado, it's time to give you guys the review. Hello? Tim app. Player, you ain't called me in a minute. Oh, you saw something's wrong with the iPhone 16. Listen, player, friends tell friends the truth. Man, you ain't even seen the video I'm about to drop. It's called Truth Hurts. Hello? Tim. Man, Tim, why you gotta be so darn sensitive? YouTube. Let's get into it. We're gonna start off with design. Now, you cannot tell me that the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max are not a well-designed set of phones. These phones look amazing. Now, the new color is, give or take whether you like it or not. I personally have always been a fan of the iPhones like gold tones with this kind of creamish gold tone. This kind of has like a rose gold type vibe. I rock with it personally. It may not be for everyone. Now, obviously, I still believe probably what is the best color is the natural titanium. So, that's still an option this year, even though this is the 15 Pro Max. The beauty is in the details sometimes. Even though it may not be huge changes, at this point, I don't think we're going to see the smartphone renaissance reignited until, I don't know. Bigger screens, smaller bezels. What more could you want? The refinements just continue to make the iPhone an even better design. Smartphone continuing into the 15 Pro, which now has that 5x telephoto that was gatekept last year. But now both Pro models are in line with each other, as well as crazy battery life and improvements. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But all in all, the design of these iPhones are still some of the best-in-class iPhone designs that we have. We can't overlook the fact that these phones, for what they deliver as is, even with the, lack of Apple Intelligence, are great phones. So I don't want all of the, jaded tech snob reviews to persuade you in any way, especially if you're coming from iPhone 13 series and older. This is your year to lock in. You know what I mean? You can still wait till next year if you want to, but I'm saying this current tech and going forward is your ideal upgrade. So design-wise, these phones are absolutely phenomenal. And if we continue on into these beautiful OLED panels that are consistent and refined as ever, I will say this generation of ceramic shield glass is so much nicer than last year's. Let me make sure I'm not tweaking. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's so smooth as far as gliding your finger and doing your gestures and just navigating your device in comparison to the 15 Pro Max, not a reason to upgrade, obviously, but I'm just pointing out the design refinements. You know, this glass is supposed to be a lot stronger than last year's, like 50% stronger according to Apple. But man, it is so smooth, so clear, and it just feels a bit sharper for whatever reason. And it's not a placebo effect of a new device. Trust me on that. But if you don't know about Apple's OLED panels, I'm gonna tell you real quickly. They're just super color accurate, great for content creation, video production, photo editing, and also media consumption, because everything is gonna be consumed in a color accurate environment. And that's one of my favorite things about the iPhone in comparison to other models that, you know, may not come as accurate on the P3 gamut and so forth. But at the end of the day, very beautiful screens, very beautiful delivery. Let's continue on into our platform, as we have now moved into the A18 Pro chip, which has some beautiful things happening in the area of efficiency and optimization. Now, again, iPhones are very powerful year after year. So, I mean, it's boring to have the most powerful phone or one of the most powerful phones in its class year after year. So it's like, you know, the competition is there though. The Snapdragon 8 Gen chip, which next year they got the 8 Elite coming. Got to see what that's bringing. But the areas of gaming, like the S24 Ultra, actually gave the iPhone a clear run for its money in performance in gaming. And it did really well in optimization. So Snapdragon's out there, but the A18 Pro has been solid. The A17 Pro, even from last year, extremely solid. You know, when you getting all that Geekbench stuff, which I don't really do, but the platform is solid and well built. And I like how people say it just works so well for so long. It's stagnant to a degree, but the A18 Pro is built for Apple Intelligence. And I gotta laugh when I say that because, you know, we don't have Apple Intelligence just yet, and hopefully the wait is worth it, but we're gonna talk about that in a bit. All in all, the platform is super crisp, super smooth. My user experience, platform-wise, performance-wise, is really well. If you boot up any video game on here, the battery performance in gaming this year, as far as the extended length of usage, is really, really good this year. A lot of things shining in the area of optimization and battery and efficiency with this A18 Pro that's built into these 16 Pros and 16 Pro Maxes. So area of platform and performance has been, as you would expect, extremely good for me. Now, again, there's the area of software. iOS 18, a little rough around the edges. Everything around software this year is a little, you know, it's a little meh for Apple standards. You know what I mean? Again, last year when iOS 17 first released, it was rough too. And then as the updates came out, which typically, unfortunately, in this day and age, we're gonna release it, it's gonna be rough, but we'll smooth it out in due time with updates. And that's kind of been a pattern in technology as a whole right now. Even in the gaming industry is like that. So, you know, the ability for them to do OTAs all of the time has created an environment to where, you know, they may not release it perfect day one, but they know that they can refine it in due time and, you know, get it smoother over time. So as it did with the 15 Pro Max and the 15 Pro, over time just got refined and as smooth as ever. I expect the same to happen with iOS 18 and going forward into Apple Intelligence. All right, battery life. One of the biggest topics, one of the, you know, standout features of the 16 Pro Max and 16 Pro, if I'm being frank and honest, especially in comparison to last year's devices. The 15 Pro last year had a rough rap in battery. And Apple said, hold my beer, because this 16 Pro, the improvements that they brought to this in battery are phenomenal. It's upwards in the 3.5 to 4 hours in some just individual like tasks and battery output. It's really, really good. And even if you average it down like with a mixed bag, you're a couple hours plus over last year's model. So it's literally hitting Apple's claims of 4 hours of added usage in comparison to this device. And that's actually top tier. So battery life on the 16 Pro, to make it simple, is very much similar to the 15 Pro Max. And that says a lot. For my people who always typically go or feel forced into larger devices because of battery life, this year, now again, Apple Intelligence is not out, and we don't know what that type of battery drain is gonna bring. And we do feel like the battery improvements and the battery like headroom that we have is for Apple Intelligence. So keep that in mind. We'll be updating you guys consistently, month to month, week to week, whatever. I'm gonna be keeping you guys up to date so you guys can know. But as of right now, the battery life on this thing is singing really, really well. Again, until AI reaches this device, we don't know if it's gonna decrease and how much it will decrease by. But man, oh man, you can this year, at this current state, I gotta put my disclaimers, go into a 16 Pro instead of a Pro Max and get top tier battery. Man, these spam risk calls, robocalls, whatever, bro, I'm sick of it. I know you are too. Comment me too down. Well, no, let me not say that. Let's talk about the 16 Pro Max in battery, the battery king, baby, for those heavy users. If you're a heavy user, you gotta go Pro Max. I'm not saying heavy users can get into a Pro, because heavy users know battery is good for you, so you need the top of the top. You need the most battery headroom you can get, and you're gonna need a battery MagSafe something and all that stuff. Hey, accessory video coming soon. I got you guys. I'm gonna be putting you guys up on a lot of accessories, more coming in. I got you guys, for real. So lock in, hit the subscribe, and turn on the bell, because my accessory video is gonna put you guys up on game. But as far as heavy users go, the Pro Max is definitely where I'm gonna tell you to land and get you a power accessory, whether it's a MagSafe charging back. This thing has 10,000 milliamps and it is super slim. I'll sneak this one down in the description. So go to the description if you want to know what that is. And just, power through your day as a power user. But the 16 Pro Max is phenomenal in battery, and it is improved over the 15 Pro Max, which puts this in the top tier of batteries. And then you got the 16 Pro coming out swinging this year for the little ones, for the smaller phones. I know it's not really a small phone, but in today's day and age, this is a small phone. And this is palmable. This is a lot more usable for a lot of people. And you can actually do it this year and get great battery. Again, Apple Intelligence has yet to release, and battery life is 100,000% subjective to you, the user, and how you use your device. So keep all of that in mind and choose wisely. Next, I want to talk about these things on the back, which are cameras. A lot of people love iPhone cameras, myself included. A lot of people are gonna love the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max's cameras, and a lot of people use iPhone cameras for content creation. I absolutely have been enjoying taking photos with these devices and seeing the results that I get. Down to the skin tones, y'all know that's one of my things, being really well represented. The portrait mode being really well defined. The processing, like after you take a photo and then when you open it up in the photos, you're gonna see for a second, it's gonna take a second. And then once that processing hits, the AI processing this year, it just takes this, rough image that's not perfect, it's out of this small sensor, and then it just creates magic to make it feel as though you're shooting with a real camera. And this year, the 16 Pro, 16 Pro Max cameras really do deliver. And if you're someone who take advantage of the video with the Apple ProRes log, I got another accessory for that. See, y'all getting sneak peeks. Since y'all rocking with me early, I got you guys. Something like this where you can put a high performance SD card inside of. Look, this is magnetic. And just put this on the back via MagSafe, especially with the 16 Pro. If you only get like the 128 gigabyte model, you can't record onto the internal. You have to use something external. But just in general, if you're using log, you're going to be recording external. That's a smart way to do it, unless you got like a 1 terabyte or something. Like I got the 512 right here, so I'll shoot internal sometimes. I got another one. I'm not going to show you that one just yet, but that one uses a 2230 NVMe M.2. So just let your imagination run wild with that. Man, absolutely phenomenal. And you guys know how I do. I'm going to take you outside and I'm going to chat with you about these cameras while using these cameras. All right, so as I sit using Apple ProRes on the front facing camera of the 15 Pro. I don't even got to pull out the 15 Pro Max because, you know, the 15 Pro can get it done the same way, same cameras. Man, the quality that I've seen out of this camera so far has been really, really good. I always, since, you know, Apple ProRes, even before then, I would implement like B-roll and other shots, product shots using the iPhone. So I have a huge confidence in the camera. So again, this is the front facing camera. I'll flip it to the rear. And another thing that's cool is I'm using this new USB-C accessory that's MagSafe compatible that has a M.2 NVMe SSD and it's very chill, compact. I'm gonna show you guys what this is in my upcoming accessory video. But in instances like this, where I'm shooting a product, like this is the new Apple Watch Series 10 that I'm taking a little video of, I would use that and take advantage of that if I'm taking a photo or whatever. I really do like this watch face. It's, you know, it's not, you know, super informative and whatnot. It's just straight time, but it's big, it's easy to see, and it's straight to the point. Yo, what time is it? Pretty much. As you guys can see, just to get some shots of some more like product stuff. These are the new, you know, MKBHD joints, you know, the low tops. Just rocking them, getting a feel for them and everything. These are comfortable. I'm not gonna cap. The material is cool. You know, I'm more into like more premium leather when it comes to shoes. But if I'm being honest, I've worn Jordans and Jordan 1s and all this stuff and went between the decent leather to the synthetic leather and stuff. So it's nothing that I'm unfamiliar with and all in all. But, you know, some cool sneaks. And yeah, it's just allowing me to shoot something else other than me, and you see the quality of this video. And then there's this, the ultra wide, like the lens that I see a lot of content creators like literally creating content on their phones. There's some content creators who are strictly on the iPhone. Spawn Point is a great example. Man, he's risen his content creation level huge on strictly shooting with iPhones. And his quality looks great. If there isn't more of an example of what the iPhone cameras can do for content creation and things like that, then that, you know, example and what he's done, I don't know what else is. Quick shot on the new 48 megapixel ultra wide, getting some, you know, product shots again. Apple Watch Series 10. This is the larger size, 46 millimeter, on my approximate 6-inch wrist. If you want to know which size to pick for your wrist, I have a video out. So I also have the smaller 42 millimeter, and I had that on wrist. And on that note, I'm gonna go back inside and we're gonna talk about these iPhones. So hit the comment section down below and let me know how well or how well not. You get what I'm saying, how much you liked or disliked the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max cameras. So, user experience, the most important category of all categories that we could speak about, because it's the collective of all features and things and what that looks like as an everyday user. This year is going to be different, or at this point is going to be different until later on, because obviously we're missing Apple Intelligence, which is a big part of the marketing behind these devices, and that is a big part of the user experience, or a portion of it, for those who will take advantage of it or want to experience it and see what it has to offer and see if there are any added values from Apple Intelligence. But until then, I can only speak on the 16 Pro Max and 16 Pro as is, with iOS 18 from that perspective of user experience. Now, contrary to what you probably think I'm going to say, the user experience is actually solid if I'm looking at it from a level head. My user experience with camera control, not so solid, not so useful, not so ideal early in its earliness. I just think that they need to kind of like refine it and fine tune it and make it something that can be useful. Even the positioning of it wasn't the best. Let me show you guys a good positioning for a shutter button. All right. This is the Xperia from Sony. Now, Sony makes cameras, so Sony understands that when you place a shutter button, you place it where your finger naturally lands, right? And the function of said shutter button, if I were to open up my camera, as you guys are gonna see, and if I were to half press, you see I get that locked focus right there? When you see those little green squares, that means that's where it's locked. Snap the photo. That's the feature that's supposed to be coming to camera control that I said would save camera control for me. But also, I don't know what the internals are like inside of the iPhone, but if the shutter button was placed as naturally placed as it is here on this Xperia, it would have been so much better. But since it's not, it's not as good. Now, going back to all of the categories, as you guys heard me speak so well about the cameras, the battery life, the A18 Pro and the efficiency and optimization, like it's business as usual. It's the iPhone as usual. But in the area of why you're seeing so much, like, I don't know, or blandness or lack of excitement from techies or people who, are very up to date and who get the consistent iPhone year after year, who are really, let's be real, tech snobs and are a bit jaded, they're not seeing anything added because the additive was Apple Intelligence. The additive was a camera control button that actually was, intuitive and useful. But you take away those things and it's just iPhone as usual, which is not bad at all. I mean, this thing has one of the best performing chips, some of the, best ecosystem features. iOS 18 has some questionable things, I'm not gonna lie. The photo app, this thing is funky. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like the smell. I don't know if I smell what Apple was cooking with this new Photos app and the photo album and how it's laid out. But if I get, those few things out of the way and I just focus on what it is, especially for my people who are coming from iPhone 13 series, iPhone 12 series and older, you guys are gonna really feel this upgrade. It's a huge redesign for you guys as we have the titanium siding, the frosted backing, but also you have the dynamic island, which turned out not to be any way of a gimmick and actually extremely useful use case of this area. Like, there are so many apps that are starting to use it, so many use cases where you see it being implemented, and it's just like, that's that Apple feeling of like, man, I'm grateful that that's there. Okay, I got a timer going right here. Hold on. 10-minute timer.
10 minutes, counting down.
Now I'm in my phone and I'm navigating, but I see the timer countdown in real time. Things like that, that's that, iPhone experience or whatever, that iOS experience. But it is being hindered this year for the tech forward people in the fact that, and even just for the casual people who may have watched the keynote or seen the multitude of billboards that say Apple Intelligence, AI, right? Now, I think Apple just kind of got caught lacking, basically, because, the S24 Ultra from Samsung dropped with AI. The new Pixel 9 Pro and Pixel 9 dropped with AI. I don't have a Pixel this year, but even the Pixel 9 Pro Fold dropped with AI. It's just, the two biggest competitors in the US market dropped with AI. Apple announced their AI, but they did not drop with AI. And that's where the truth is, Apple just kind of gotta hold that L and kind of take some of the, rough criticisms and feedbacks from people, because to a degree, I feel like it's warranted. Y'all got caught lacking. The iPhone dropped with AI to be continued. And, it's not very Apple-like. Apple has a high standard. They've typically hit or hovered around that high standard. And this is the first time where that standard just feels like it was slightly missed and not met. But let me say this. The iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max are still getting my stamp of approval for users upgrading from iPhone 13 series and older. These phones are still getting my stamp of approval as being well-designed phones that deliver on the fundamentals: battery life, user experience, for the most part, right? Without Apple Intelligence. But, jokes aside, very well designed devices. This is an S year, and when you're realistic about it being an S year, for all those people who just look at the iPhones and phones every year after year, then you're reasonable to what this is and why the refinements are, so little. Again, Apple talked their talk. Now it's time for Apple to walk that walk.
I rise and I wake and I gotta go get it. I'm making my bed and it's straight to the digit.
Hey, Tim Apple, listen, bro. I know I'm not really on the list yet. Hopefully this don't get me banned off the list. You listen, player, you know. Tim, we go back like 4 flats on the Cadillac. Listen here, player. I just have to tell the truth. I gotta be real with you. You know, friends tell friends the truth. That's how you know you got a real friend. You got a friend in me. Anyways, nevertheless, man, put me on the list, Tim.
No cup of jokers, this is acidic, so I take a shot with the lemon and ginger. Look in the mirror like, yeah, I'm not. Look in the mirror like, I'm fitted. Looking outside like the world is all mine. Look in the mirror like, go get it. I gotta get to the scene, I gotta get to the bag now. I can't be chasing on these. They getting they feeling and dragged down. That's why they just crash out.